want to make sure that people here are waiting for the panel next door. This one is the Kaiju Kingdom podcast, and with Godzilla co-creators. And if you're here for Mr. Gorman, he is next door. So I just want to make sure everyone's in the correct room. You good? Everybody looks like they're all here for these two gentlemen. Oh my goodness. We are with the Kaiju Kingdom podcast, and Chris Eaton is my co-host. How are you?
How's it going, everyone?
Yeah. So these two gentlemen flew all the way across the country to be with you guys today over here at G-Fest, the largest Kaiju Godzilla-centered festival in North America. And today, because we're talking about such a big year that both Kong and Godzilla has had both on screen and in print, to start off, Jared, how are you?
I'm doing great.
So this book in front, you are the concept designer for Godzilla Evolved, Skarr Cave, both Mecha Godzillas, the one in Ready Player One, and the one also known as And we're very excited to have you to come out.
Thank you so much.
And the gentleman next to him, Brian Buccelleto, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. Oh, I am cold, yes. I just wanted to go see if I could find a hoodie, but they didn't have any zip-up hoodies that I could see just on first glance.
Really? It's just pullovers?
Yeah, pullovers. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Somebody has a zip-up hoodie out there. Come on up, Brian will forever be grateful. You are the writer for DC Comics Legendary's Warner Brothers Justice League versus Godzilla versus Kong. Artist. He's from Uruguay. He would love to have been here today, but he is not able to. But he says thank you all so much for all the love that he sees that all of you support your work and his work together. Because later we're going to talk about those memes that we see on Facebook, straight off our site. So thank you for coming out. So Brian, to start off with you, how did this amazing series get pitched to you? Because when it was announced, many of us were losing our minds and wondering how this was going to be. This was an epic crossover.
Yeah, no, it started as a conversation between Legendary does their own line of comics. A lot of it's IP based, and I had done a bunch of stuff for Legendary. I did a King Kong graphic novel and some other stuff. And I've also done work for DC, for those of you who are comic fans. I did Flash and Injustice is a big one too. So anyway, an editor at DC and an editor at Legendary, they used to be in the same building in LA, and so they had a conversation and they said, wouldn't it be cool if we did this? And so of course no one thought it was going to happen because a lot of licenses, you got Toho, you got Toho Japan, you got, Warner Brothers, but they were able to work out this deal, and I was just the lucky sucker they asked to do it, to be honest with you. And of course I said yes. I was like, really? Yeah, of course, yeah.
Oh, and real quick, I want to blow smoke everybody real quick, because this, I grew up on comics, I love my comics, I think too, there are times when they do licensing things, you're a little disappointed. I mean, occasionally you get a dark horse that does Star Wars and Alien Predator. When this was announced, I saw you were behind, I'm like, okay, let's see what this guy's doing. After the first issue, I'm like, I am in love with this book. This book made me feel like I was 9 years old reading comics again. It's just an absolute joy of a book.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I think working on Injustice years before sort of helped me sort of get to know like working with a large group of characters and Elseworlds where you can kill people, stuff like that.
Yes. It feels like a great Justice League Unlimited episode, and I say that with the great, that's my compliment.
No, I appreciate it. I think the beauty for me was that there weren't a lot of guardrails in terms of which versions of the DC characters I could use, so I just kind of cherry picked all my favorite versions. So like my Christopher Reeve Superman, or our new 52 Flash. So I just was able to just find the classic versions that appealed to me, and I think I was fortunate that I think that they appealed to other people as well.
You got Atom Smasher and Godzilla Throwdown. That alone
It didn't end well.
Yeah.
And Jared, to jump to you, when you were given Godzilla Evolved, how did you approach that? What did you think? Because when we saw the Reapers reveal in the trailer, the internet is what it is. The other characters, they're either brand new, so we can accept them how they are, but Godzilla we've seen in a certain way. So how did you approach that?
Yeah, because it was daunting at first. They tell you you're going to work on Godzilla, and of course you're elated, and it's the opportunity of a lifetime. But at the same time, it's absolutely terrifying because reactions are going to be strong either way, no matter what you do. And we all love our Godzilla, and so for me it was okay, threading the needle, because I can't go too far away from the legendary Godzilla that we know and love, and yet I had to submit an update, like what is the next evolution for what Godzilla is going to look like, and so treading very carefully, and I really. As I was working on it, I'm like, man, I'm going to have to remember what I'm thinking while I'm working on this, because 3 years from now, people are going to be asking me, what I was thinking when I was doing it.
Yeah. You know what, actually, on that note, Brian, I know not all the issues come out at once. They are together now in a hardcover book. However, as single issues are coming out, people are reacting to it. And, Jared was saying, as I'm doing it, 3 years down the line, are, people going to react and reflect? I had a moment, because the memes we're talking about is like, Godzilla wouldn't lose to Superman wouldn't, like, Atom Smasher, like, what is this? I don't like this, like, what is this? What is your thought process as you're going into this? Because also some of them, the issues are not all out, so they're just reacting as they're reading it.
Yeah, first and foremost, I've worked on IP for a long time, so I know, and I'm one of them. I'm a nerd, I'm a geek, whatever. The most passionate fans around, right? Like we take ownership because these are the worlds we live in, and we spend a lot of our time, and we're really excited about it. So we have versions. Like I said, I picked up my favorite versions of Justice League. We all have our versions of what is canon in our head, and so I understand that. And so you have to expect that whatever choices you make, someone is going to be unhappy, because it's going to go against what they think is the definitive version, or this is what would happen. Obviously, who has read the book?
Okay, homework tonight for those who haven't is go get this graphic novel.
I have a couple to give away, and some first issues to give away as well. So you just know, the big. I'm going to spoil it. Sorry. And Superman fights Godzilla. Obviously, you have the two alphas go at each other, and unfortunately for Superman, he gets taken down. I'm not going to explain exactly how it happened because it's part of the story, but he gets, he loses, and a lot of people were unhappy with me for the joke.
I was proud of you, man. I was so proud of you.
But I had a reason. The reason was that the sort of radiation that Godzilla produces is similar to the radiation in kryptonite. So it actually was the thing that could get to him. So like, I had a reason for it in my own head canon that worked for me, but a lot of people were very unhappy.
It's a great choice.
It shows how devastating Godzilla really is.
100%.
Yeah.
It's good character development.
Yeah.
And it gives the other heroes time to really get their you got what, it was 7 issues?
7 issues.
So
Yeah.
you got everyone else has to get their time in the sun.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with the challenge of Superman is always he is so powerful. I guess Godzilla can be an issue too, but he's so powerful that like usually just add Superman and you win, you know, unless it's magic or kryptonite. So like you have to find creative ways to challenge him, I think. And you know, people are like, I can't believe you killed Superman, because in Elseworlds you can kill characters, but it was like, you know, issue 2, so come on. Like, have you read a book before? I don't know. So, you know, spoiler, he comes back.
You know, you talked about taking ownership of characters, and also we talked about developing new characters. So Jared, with Skarr King, this is kind of the first time in all the years of King Kong history that we've seen really a worthy opponent and antagonist, Luthor to Superman, Joker to Batman. What was your approach knowing this one's the big bad?
Yeah.
And then preparing for the reactions.
Well, yeah, Skarr King was the first character that I got to tackle. So after getting the call kind of to come back, you know, Adam laid it out and pitched the entire movie. And you know, talked about the kind of Showa era craziness that he wanted to imbue in the movie. So that was kind of like the first genesis of like, okay, I understand the movie that he wants to make. And my second, my instinct is always to kind of go to opposites. So I thought about Kong. Kong is stocky and strong, and you know, he's squared off and heroically shaped, and so. What I wanted to do was go to the opposite of that. So going long and lanky and hairless and kind of weird to it. So that was my thought process is what is the opposite of Kong? Because Skarr King had to be that in every way possible. And also, you know, adding little monstery kind of things like the tusks and other stuff like that. And the red fur, and he had mentioned that like he's got spine whips, so I thought, okay, it's a big toy movie, spine's gonna go around the chest, and that's what he's gonna use. So yeah, just going to opposites and hairless as well. So I looked at a lot of like hairless chimps and things like that, because and gibbon skeletons was a big reference as well, because I don't know if you've ever seen a gibbon skeleton, but their arms are like ridiculously long compared to the rest of their body, and I thought that was just so fascinating, because not only that, I'm also trying to think of like, how can this guy hurt Kong, right? How do you take down him? And so I thought reach is something that he could have. He could be faster and more agile than Kong.
I got a little question. Maybe we can explain this. So when they pitched you Skarr King, did they have the details laid out yet in the script, or was it just a generalization? This is just like Kong's evil doppelganger.
Yeah, they don't give you much information at all. Like there's really, because I'm so early in the process, I'm in the pre-production development side of things. They give you very little information. Sometimes it's even before a script is written or things like that. They're still hammering out details, and they're like, we need to know what this character looks like. So I had nothing to go on, and also knowing that other artists are going to be tackling the same design as well. So there's a bit of a kind of like a competitive, like, oh, I gotta get this through. And then on top of that, I had, you know, I was back with Adam, so I'm like, I gotta prove myself to Adam, you know, again, and you know, I gotta hit it. So yeah, little to no information on probably all the characters. So when I don't get any information, I just have to make up my own stories. So that's the thing that kind of gets me through it, is like, okay, who is this guy? Where did he come from? Why is he like this?
Is that the same that you did for Shimu, which is seen in the film as Godzilla's opposite?
Yeah, Shimu went through a lengthy design process. So kind of the opposite of Skarr King, where I did the work. They had like very minor things that they wanted to see, and that was it. Skarr King was done. They were like, yeah, we're really happy. I was like, what? That does not happen, right? It does not happen. It's very, very rare. And then with Shimu, the only thing we had gotten was Ice Godzilla, right? So yeah, that was their term. It's like it's an Ice Godzilla. Okay, well, what does that mean? Does it mean he looks exactly like Godzilla? Is he a member of Godzilla's species? I have no idea. And so some other artists did some takes on Shimu. Simon Weber did some very literal Ice Godzilla designs, which are beautiful, but it wasn't what they were looking for. And so they asked me to, I was like, hey, you got any ideas? I'm like, I got ideas. And so the first iterations I did of Shimu were very dragon-like, just almost like typically dragon or crocodilian. But Shimu went through a very lengthy design process, longer than any of the other characters. I think I probably put out about 40 to 50 iterations. And all in a very short amount of time. And so finally, I was just trying things. I'm like, okay, let's try chameleon, let's try this, let's try that. And Adam liked one of the chameleon versions that I did. So I had given Shimu like a long ice horn and like the tri-horn. So I tried like Triceratops, here's chameleon. I'm borrowing from whatever I can because I had no idea. And in the meeting, Adam kind of pointed to the snout and he's like, I really like this shape and I like the tiny eye. So he said there's something really kind of endearing to that. And I came back with the nose kind of cleaned up and the horn was gone and they fell in love.
When you were developing her, was she a quadruped? Because you said they went with another artist went with literal Ice Godzilla, or did you throw the quadruped in there?
They had mentioned that Shimu was going to be largely quadruped, but could stand up on hind legs.
Kind of like a bear.
Yeah, kind of like a bear. So that was also some of my influence was to take polar bear, right? Ice Godzilla, polar bears. So I kind of took some polar bear and I took some Komodo dragon, and so just like adding all these ingredients and kind of mixing it around.
Brian, as your issues were coming out, a lot of people I knew, because it's been a hard couple of years for many of us, but a lot of them were saying that your series brought them so much joy and so much love. I mean, there was one mention right there.
Every week she did the text.
Yeah.
For big DC fans.
Yes.
I'm just like, you gotta read this week's issue.
Because one of the things is when you see large crossovers, you're like, oh, I don't know if this is going to be cringy or bad, but instead it comes out and it's absolutely great and amazing. People loved it. People really felt for the story. How did you put yourself into the mindset while writing it? Because this particular page makes its round around several social media sites. People love it because they're like, I love the fact that the first thing Superman does when he meets Godzilla is like, try to talk to him.
It's quintessential Superman. Like,
Yes.
I don't want to fight. Like, can we hash this out?
Yeah, and people loved it for so many reasons. The fact that you understood Superman, the fact that it was great storytelling, people loved it. How did you put your mindset into doing it so perfectly?
Well, I mean, I don't think anyone sets out to do something perfectly, right? I think you write for yourself first. And like, not to like toot my horn, but I don't hack anything I do. If I'm gonna do it, I want to give it my best because I have to look at myself in the mirror and say, I'm proud of the work that I did. And it's hard to make anything good, okay? I have 2 movies that are on Paramount Plus that are 0 Rotten Tomatoes. So, that I wrote, that I was proud of the scripts. And, but no one tries to make something bad. So, all you can do is write for yourself and try to understand, put yourself in the position of, what would make me feel satisfied, So that's where I started. And then I moved to character, and for me it's like I need to find an emotional way into the story. And so the story opens with Clark asking Lois to marry him, basically, or getting interrupted while he's asking Lois to marry him. And for me, that was what the entire story was going to hinge upon, about him not being able to finish asking Lois, and the idea. So I knew Superman was going to go down, and just sort of using that as to have the characters emotionally respond to that, because big monster is a big threat. I mean, like that's all the fun stuff with the pages and Christian's art, but you have to find something to I think give you like a human character element, and so that's what I chose.
Something that you said is like big characters and like great arcs. Speaking of that, this cover, everybody loves because Batman is in a giant mech suit going against Godzilla.
By the way, your explanation for how he got that suit built is one of the greatest. Again, it feels it's quintessential DC. And the fact that you actually sat there and gave just one note to explain, you're like, that's Batman. Yeah, it's Batman. It's the perfect Batman.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I will say that Jim Lee, the artist, like him or Jim Lee, Jim Lee's cover, he didn't know that I was going to have a bat mech in the story. He just drew a bat mech because that was just the thing. That just he's going to fight. It's hilarious, yeah.
Because of this cover and also several other covers, I saw people on Facebook or Instagram being like, all these variant covers, I have to collect them all. And then trying to go out, you actually brought one with you today, calling your comic book stores, trying to get them.
So this DC was kind of, so you talking about?
No, it's okay. I was gonna say, did you see more reaction from Godzilla and Kong fans trying to collect all the variant covers, or did you see mostly Justice League, DC superhero fans, or is there a?
I think there's such a crossover. I think what I was most shocked about, maybe I shouldn't have been, is that comic fans, superhero fans, and kaiju fans. I mean, huge crossover. And then people who weren't superhero fans, they did it anyway, and I think they liked it, and maybe it opened the door for them. I don't know. But unfortunately, I only have the King Kong version, but they made these covers that roar, and so I have 10 of these to give out. Somewhere, I mean, you have to hunt for him, but I only have the comic.
What was the reaction when they hit you with that gimmick?
I mean, they told me they were doing it, I was like, okay. But then when they sent me I was in the office and they showed me the prototype, I was like, they killed it.
Yeah.
Like, they killed it.
100%.
And I think it's the first time it's been done, as far as I know.
If I could, totally not stepping on Jessica's questions, but we talk about the Superman Godzilla dynamic, but and something I should have seen it coming, but it was so perfect. The Supergirl Kong dynamic, which was absolutely
That writes itself.
It did, 100%.
So one of the fun things you get to do, when you're merging these two IPs, it's like you have all these characters, and how do I pair them together? And so like the two biggest no-brainers for me were Godzilla, Superman, and Supergirl and Kong, just because I know that in the sort of the legendary Kong hasn't really played into the classic King Kong, but I'm a huge King Kong fan, and so. I think one of the other things that was sort of a no-brainer was putting a Green Arrow on Skull Island.
100%.
Yeah. So.
100%. That again, it was the little nuances, the fact that it's the Legion of Doom to start all this stuff, and you have Luthor trying. He's like, well, this is a predicament, but how can I make it work for me?
For anyone who hasn't read it, what do you think Lex Luthor pairs? What do you think Lex Luthor pairs up with?
Alcohol.
There you go.
Okay, so can I jump in on that? Jared, your design in his comic book, thoughts?
Oh, dude, first of all, I'm a massive DC fan, fan, so like DC is like my jam. So then to see my Mechagodzilla design in DC, and he's paired with Lex Luthor, like, you know, I geeked out hard, man. It was a hard geek out, and you know, he's in the DC world now, so that's like, yeah. As a DC fan and also a Kaiju fan and designer, yeah, I was over the moon. It was the best. It's like
Chris did a great job.
Yeah, I did. I really did.
I wanted to know, how surreal was it for you seeing people like Haley, who's a great cosplayer, come in your Godzilla involved design?
It's well, it's really surreal because you know, most of the time I'm toiling away in my little garage. I have like a little garage office, and that's where I sit and do all the work. So yeah, there he is.
See,
It's
that's
So we weren't allowed to adjust the design at all.
Wow.
I wanted to put some kind of Lex flourish on it.
Oh yeah.
Like a Lex logo or something. They were like, nope. You have to do
Really? I would have been down for the next one. Just saying, like for me, yeah. But also, hearing that there were no changes allowed, I also like that too. But no, it's surreal, you know, seeing excitement or like seeing fan art or any of that stuff. It's the coolest feeling you could probably have. You know, one is seeing your work up on the screen, and second is seeing people embrace it. And you know, she said she put like $3K into that suit, and like so she put like time, energy, and money into that suit, and it just looks great. So like, as a fan of cosplay and all that stuff, it's
Jared, on that note, how does it feel seeing your designs as toys?
Oh, it's
like Walmart, Target, and kids just buying them up?
Yeah, and it's just, I mean, it's great, and they put my art on the boxes and all that stuff. So, yeah, I remember driving around with my son, and because he's 6 years old now, and he's just at that age where, like, he's discovering kaiju and all, you know, all that. Yeah. I'm doing my fatherly duty, you know, and so not just that, but like I drove him around, and we drove from store to store to store, seeing if they were in stock. And that first weekend we got nothing, and the second weekend we rolled into Target and we bought out the store. You know, and so for me, it's like getting to share it with him. It's getting to share it with everybody. So like, and you know, as a kid, I love toys, so it's like, this is a toy that, like, I kind of made this, you know, it's really cool.
Brian, when you are making these scenes and you're writing them out, do you ever expect it to play out in real life? Because we do have a convention back at home called WonderCon. It is the little sister of San Diego Comic Con. There's a fountain in front of the convention center. There's a lot of cosplay photo meetup. I saw people recreate scenes from your book.
No, never. That's
To
never.
take pictures of it. Like, if you, like, has that ever, you said it's never occurred to you, because people love the poses, they love to recreate it.
Yeah, maybe I should have thought of that, but no, not at all.
You were at the panel last year at Comic Con for the announcement, right?
The announcement now, it was at New York Con.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
New York Con. What? Well, no, wait, no.
San Diego.
We were at San Diego.
Oh, wait, you were at San Diego.
Yeah, San Diego was Jim's panel. That was the
Oh,
big
what's San Diego?
Yes.
Yes.
Because the previews kind of spoiled the big thing, because as that, you know, as everything goes, you know. But I made sure that my butt was in that seat for that 7 p.m. panel, and it felt like, I felt like Millhouse, like, when are we getting to the firework factory? Because that was the last thing Jim, like, built this up. He's like, we got something coming, and then they gave you a trailer for your book.
Yes, the trailer was awesome. I think it's online. You should look for it. The legendary folks cut together an awesome trailer for it, and I believe that the alarms went off during.
Yes, second time that day too.
And also, fun fact, they played the trailer at the wrong time.
Yes.
They played it while Tom Taylor was up there.
Yep.
And he was like, what do I do now? This is how they do it.
It was a fire alarm.
And it's the second time because I was there the night before for the Venture Brothers movie, and someone set the fire alarm off 5 minutes before the movie would start, and I was about ready to throw it down like, I did not miss any entries. I was here for the beginning, I'll be here for the end. And someone just said, no, it's fine. That one was legit because a pretzel caught fire. It was one of the pretzel stands, the burner went off. You were fine with that.
Fair enough.
So, I have to ask, you got to play around with, as you said, it's an Elseworld, you can play with some stuff. So, a character dies, I'm not going to spoil it, but it allows a certain Titan.
You might as well spoil it.
Okay, so he kills Guy Gardner in this book. Arguably, I think the most hated Green Lantern of all time. But, as you know, if you know your Green Lantern lore, the Ring seeks out a worthy host.
You want to guess who gets it?
So again, this was slightly spoiled in the solicitations like about a month before, and I nearly had an aneurysm looking at this thing. Again, there you go, right here. Preserving in my head, there's just Kong in his own roar language reciting the oath.
He lives the oath, man.
Yes, but it was a brilliant way because, you know, even the legendary movies have had to figure out a way, like, we have Kong, he's big and strong, but every other monster shoots some sort of weapon, so how are we going to power him up? Like, the new movie gave him his Nintendo Power Glove. This man's like, I can do one better. He gets a Green Lantern ring.
I will say, it was not my idea.
Really?
So, I was setting up for someone else to get the ring because I never in a million years thought they would approve it.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, they're not going to be giving someone, you know, one of the monsters, so what am I going to do? And Ben Abernathy, the editor, was like, why don't you give it to Kong? And Robert Napton, who's a legendary guy, was like, well, I'll ask. And they said yes. We were shocked. We were shocked.
Because that final issue is just a big throwdown. And Kong getting that ring. When I saw that, I'm like, this book just, again, I can't praise this book enough. It builds and it builds and it builds and gives you a wonderful payoff that is just a wonderful homage to both everything that's beautiful about DC and everything that we love about giant monster movies. It's a mech monster battle. You got Batman in a giant mech suit. You have Luthor. By the way, you make Luthor pilot Godzilla like a Jaeger, which was a brilliant stroke. He upgraded his suit, his Superman fight suit, to pilot Mechagodzilla. All these little touches did not go unappreciated. They were fantastic.
And before I jump over to Jared, Brian, because of everything Chris was vividly describing, which you can see in the book afterwards, do you get notes from your artist Christian, like, dear Brian, what is happening? Trying to pencil this. What is going on?
No, I think he's so underwater that he just keeps going. I felt really bad for him because I just threw everything in, including the kitchen sink in the story. And so issue 7 is just nuts. And it must have been so hard to draw because, like, he had every character, you know, like, yeah, I had to pay off so many things. Like, there was a point when I'm writing issue 7, I'm like, I might have put too much in here. But, you know, thankfully, he was able to just, you know, take the script and kill it. I will say, you know, there should have been more splash pages. I'm sorry, Christian.
But before we jump to Jared, one more question. It's a little kind of like the projection of this. How far ahead is the script for your artists?
I was probably on the second or third when we started.
Okay, so he's got a little lead because
Yeah.
the art's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, look, I can write a script in a week, and an artist, this is also, each issue was 30 pages instead of 20 or 22, so it takes a long time, you know. In today's world, a fast artist can do 4 or 5 pages in a week, because of all the detail and stuff, so like, it takes them much longer to do it.
So when, if you don't mind me asking, when was this first screenplay before it was publicly announced?
I don't know, a while Probably 8-9 months.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you guys have plenty of practice.
Yeah.
Jared, you were saying earlier, like for Shimu, you did like 40 designs. You were just trying to be like, Adam, I hope you like this, I hope you pick this one. I don't know, you were like very quick, in quick amounts of time. For all of the kaiju that you had to go through, what was your beginning creativity process? Did you study other kaiju? Did you think of other animals? Did you watch, National Geographic films? Like, where do you go? Because you have to get your creativity inspiration from somewhere and then pump them out so quickly.
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, it starts with kind of a lengthy research process. In case of like Mechagodzilla, I looked at all the previous Mechagodzillas and tried to incorporate little things in there from each of them into it. But for a lot of other creatures, when it comes down to, there's kind of a pre-research phase, and then there's the doing phase, and that's when I don't look at anything. No reference, no research, no nothing, just sitting there, sometimes just no music, no nothing, just the thoughts in my head and doing the work. And partially, I don't want to look at any other art or reference because I don't want its influence. So it's just pure like, okay, I'm making, it forces me to like recognize the decisions that I'm making.
Forgive my ignorance. What are the tools you use like when you're building stuff?
So ZBrush 3D. So these days, clients have a really hard time reading sketches, and so they really need the full 3D turnaround to be able to approve it. And the more people, how this is, the more people you have kind of on board, the harder it is to get to yes. So 3D just gets us there faster. So I can turn around a good couple dozen designs in a week that way, and so it's really hard. So it all depends on the client, of course. Some of them still prefer sketches, but for that photorealism that they need to get them to like picture it on screen, you got to go 3D.
We have a couple minutes for Q&A. Oh my,
Actually, instead of like picking out, why don't we just line up, because we're in a small room, we didn't hear it, so first come, first serve, and then just ask, and then we just please sit.
Yes. We're trying to get, oh my, okay.
We got about 10 minutes, guys, so we can't guarantee everyone's going to get through,
Yes.
so we will try to get through as much as possible.
They absolutely welcome sweet comments and opinions. Definitely, they will be outside there. You're going to receive them. However, please limit to one question, and we're going to try to lightning round this.
Sure, I mean, the outline, so the roadmap is there. Just the way the scheduling works, I am working on the actual scripts while books are coming out. So there is oftentimes, like, if I hear something, I'm like, oh, you know what, that would be cool to do that, and then maybe I can include it in there. Offhand, I can't think of if I did that in this case, but, with the shorter lead times, you do have an opportunity to sort of appraise what you're doing, and you do it anyway, but, you can hear what people are saying, when you're working on it, because obviously, echo chambers them out. So, like, you definitely can take that into consideration.
For those asking the question, who's last in line? Somebody raise their hand so I can see what you look like. Yes. Brian and he brought things for those brave enough to ask a question. So thank you for that, and we'll try to see us afterwards. So we hope you have enough. Oh yes, we have, see those who are smart, many of you have seen the Marvel film. I see you guys are staying for the after credits. Those who left don't get it, but these, Jared will sign them for you.
opportunity, I imagine there are times where things that you find really cool, but you know it doesn't serve the story. How do you restrain yourself as a writer?
I think if you're starting from character and sort of like a path for the character, I think it restrains itself because you want everything to service the core story, the core arc of the characters. And so even though you love all your ideas and everything's cool and fun, it wouldn't be great if it doesn't serve what that core story is. It's got to go. Here. Sure, absolutely.
Other than the L Godzilla, if you could share what is the biggest thing you wanted to do that Legendary said no way?
I actually got most of everything I wanted through, so there was no. I think the only comments on like Godzilla, for example, was his arms can't be too long, and that was it.
Yeah. At least they were T-Rex.
Right.
Oh, here. Yes. I was going to give it to Batman. Yeah, that's what I was going to give it to. There you go. You get the first trade. There you go. No.
Yeah, because when I worked on it so early, the color was kind of reddish purple, and so when they posted the trailer, I went, oh, they went pink. So it was a surprise to me too. So I think that's purely acting. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Question to Brian. You mentioned earlier that you work on a lab to play around with shared mechanism at all, but a little bit here. You were able to play around with the skull column, changing up that design. I want to know what your design process was going into that.
Yeah, I think, well, we needed like a big monster at the end, and I think they were less precious about it because, it was Skullcrawler, it wasn't like it was Godzilla, right? So like Skullcrawlers, if I'm not mistaken, are owned by Legendary, not Toho, because it was created within the movie universe. And so like Toho wouldn't probably care, to be honest with you. Here you go, have some that roars.
First of all, thank you for designing the original new Kaiju because that was really awesome actually have it with Legendary. The second thing is you make yourself really available online as a YouTube platform. It's awesome. But it also opens yourself up to like a lot of pages for maybe like online. People take Godzilla and design very seriously. So that's too serious.
People online take everything very seriously.
Yeah, you probably know that as well, yeah. But like that one time is like it's not navigate like not too mad with law, like it really like make you get comment with making yourself open like that.
Yeah, that's a fair question. I think because it's not my first rodeo, because I worked on the 2014 Ninja Turtles, so I so I've already kind of been through it, so my skin is thick up. But also, for every like negative comment I've gotten like 50 more positive comments, and so the negative ones do tend to stick to you because they're negative, but you can't negate the positive in favor of the negative. So you get a thick skin and you just slough it off, move on. Yeah.
I mean, I can't describe it. It's literally, it is a kid character. Not literally, because people say literally, it's not literally that. But it's just a lot of fun. I don't know how to describe it. Like, it was a dream job. It's the most fun I've ever had doing IP. And that's your son right there? Yeah. I mean, it's obviously Ghidorah, Rodan, Mothra, Mothra, yeah, for sure. How about to go on their words?
As mentioned before, it's great to put yourself out there on social media, great to see the process of pop up, and as a fellow author, it's really great to hear about the comment you made about Godzilla being tough to draw.
Yeah.
So I'd love to hear how that affected your designs.
Yeah. Because I kept seeing fans complain about how hard Mecha was to draw, and I kind of, I didn't take it personally, but like I kind of went like, oh man, people really want to draw these characters over and over again. So that did affect my process in the next one. It's like, I'm going to simplify the designs and make it more drawable, for fans, for their sake. So that was definitely a consideration going forward.
So Jared, you were talking about toys earlier, and seeing your design actually come to life.
Yeah.
I can't imagine how awesome that must be for you, but I was curious of the toys you've seen, if there's specific favorite to see your design come to life that really makes your day, or you don't have to get too negative. But if there's anything you see, you're like, oh, that's not quite what I had.
It's all awesome. And you also know that it's going to be a toy, so there's going to be like some reduction in detail and stuff. So I love the RC Godzilla, the heat ray, the Jada Toys heat ray. That one is super rad. And then I also love the evolved Godzilla where you have to tear off the skin. Also a favorite, but then I just got in the giant Shimu from Playdings, and I really love it.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Oh,
Here you go.
He's gonna sign that.
I'll sign it.
Hi, everybody. First off, Jared, very nice designs, love them. And question for Brian. Given more of this track record, what would you say the chances are that your book will get adapted into a DC animated movie, and how much creativity and how much focus would you put into what you have on film?
Yeah, I mean, I have no idea in terms of like the reality of it. Oftentimes I tell Robert, like, you need to make this into an animated movie, and I want to write it. So I have put it out in the universe. I have nothing nothing definitive. I don't know if they would give me a shot. I mean, I haven't been doing stuff in film and television, so they should give me a shot to write it. But who knows? I mean, I'll be happy if it comes out regardless, but I'll be more happy if I get to write it.
One of the nice film processes and hope they do that. Yeah.
First off, wonderful lead role. Hope you guys come out. It's awesome. This is my first you guys to see so many key members of like the Godzilla monsters. Every single part of that is awesome to see. My question for you had mentioned for Shimu there was a lengthy process, and Skarr there was sort of a shorter process. With Godzilla, with his evolved form, was there any iterations that they immediately were like, let's do something different, or was it kind of very quick like Skarr came where it was like, oh, we love what you do, we love that guy, let's throw it up.
Yeah, Godzilla was very quick as well. Not as fast as Skarr King, where Skarr King was like, boom, done. So I did, maybe only a couple iterations of Godzilla, and I presented it to Adam. He wanted to add the Thagomizer and the elbow spikes and things like that. So, I had done more translucent spikes down the face and more kind of glow in that area. So I wish that they kept some of that stuff. But I it was fast, and they were happy, and that's like, again, like it never happens that way. So I think it's a testament to Adam's like decisive ability. So thank you.
So, Brian, so inside of your Godzilla, I happen to have some confusion over there because it was cool, like whenever Tom gave your name, it was cool, but he formed the axe. What I happen to notice is in Godzilla vs. Kong, he finds the axe in Hollow Earth. We all know that. But like, he happened to reside on Skull Island during this period, which he wasn't in Hollow Earth yet. So there's some sort of confusion to me, like he thought of the axe.
In my canon, it takes place after Godzilla versus Kong. But also, I will say, there's a word called Elseworlds, right? So that, I was able to create whatever I wanted. So it's not canon to the movies. It's not canon to the main prime universe. So it's its own thing.
Oh, here we go.
I'm sure these gentlemen are open for questions outside. I don't know if there's another panel coming right after this, because we're running a couple minutes late. But where can we find and support all of your work for both of you guys online? I mean, other than in the comics or Barnes and Noble.
I'm on Twitter. I'm on or X, whatever. Instagram, those sorts of things. And usually at cons, but
I think we can squeeze in two more. I think we can squeeze in two more.
Two more?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just want to say, kind of on you guys, the fact that you guys don't continue on legacy of bringing, the Monsterverse, which is, to me, the labor of love from Godzilla and Daikaiju fans. I think it's really, and you can see the artists behind some of the designs is awesome. But I had a question for Jared, because I've actually seen you work at Art Station. Sorry to phrase this. So, how was it feeling getting to design Mechagodzilla, who was basically one of Godzilla's most prominent foes? The fact that you look at the design from the original Mechagodzilla all the way up to say Kiryu, was that, did you feel like you were kind of standing on the shoulders of giants, like, how do I, because, people love Kiryu, people love Mechagodzilla, and your Mechagodzilla, when I look at your art station, I noticed that originally he very much had shorter arms matching Godzilla, but then when you, then I noticed that you gave him a much larger wingspan. It almost looked like he had entire trains on his arms and his hands, which actually like combat him because he had those much longer wingspans versus Godzilla. It's like that's such a this is a more realistic compared to a lot of monster designs, which are both they do something new, but they also take a lot of fidelity. I mean, look, I have the original art of King Ghidorah, and how he looked much more fisting alien, but they decided to while they had new stuff on with his wingspan, they were still that this is Ghidorah, this is Ghidorah. But when you look at your Monsterverse Godzilla, you can tell even though he's chunkier, he looks like a walking reactor.
Yeah.
That's still Godzilla. The design language is still there. But I noticed that when you look at your Mechagodzilla, which I love by the way, it's very much a very different departure because most of Mechagodzilla, he still has the same anatomical similarity. And you see that with your Mechagodzilla, it's the arms and the looking like that he's a little train.
Yeah.
How did that, I guess my question is, did you feel pressure? It's like, how do I compare to something like Kiryu and Mechagodzilla? How do I make, my own iteration of Mechagodzilla that is like, people go, yeah, that's Mechagodzilla, but it's also like, this is my iteration to this mythology of the character.
Great question. I had designed Mechagodzilla once for Ready Player One, and so immediately, So two Mechagodzillas, right? Both Western Mechagodzillas were designed by me. So Ready Player One was a very traditional Mechagodzilla, and Mekaji for GVK, again, I go to opposites. So they didn't want him to have the same silhouette, right? They wanted a very different silhouette because he's going to be covered in smoke and dust and all this stuff. So their reads had to be very different. So and that was one of their notes. Yeah, and so I had to. I know I just had to do something different, than Ready Player One. Yeah, and like things that I pitched, like the claw hands and stuff like that. So I think they made a bold choice, and a lot of our artists did takes on Mekaji that were even more different than ones that I did, but they all looked very much like a robot Godzilla. And my kind of thought was that this can't be a robot Godzilla, it's got to be a Godzilla killer. It has to. Yeah.
All right, amen. We gotta wrap it up. Thank you. We got.
We have this little patient girl right now with
We're
you.
gonna Hey guys, you just hang out outside and we'll
Definitely
be
hang
around.
out.
Yeah.
What is your question? You've been so patient.
That's a good question. I did get to do some Mothra designs. I'm not allowed to post them. I know. So they went with the King of the Monsters Mothra, which is a great choice. But there are some Mothra designs that will never see the light of day.
And this one will be for you.
Thank you. Thank you for coming out. Thank you.